Hi friends, good evening. Welcome to our TCS NQT 2021 webinar series. So I hope my audio and video is clear. So let's wait for a few minutes so that the students will join and then we can start the interesting and informative session on TCS NQT 2021 do's and don'ts. So I hope you have registered for the TCS NQT 2021 and you have received the confirmation and you have also selected Subject NQT in this TCS NQT 2021 series. So only few days left for TCS NQT examination and this NQT is mainly for 2021 batch and the students from 2019, 2020 and 2022 batch are also attending this TCS NQT. So this is the first time TCS has introduced many new new patterns in their recruitment test. Also this year it is going to be a new challenge for all the students as well as placement officers of various colleges. So it's going to be center plus online test. So we need to be careful on few aspects. We are going to discuss those parameters in our webinar. So mainly we are going to focus what are all the do's and don'ts and some of the points you need to remember to take the TCS NQT test. So they have given a sample test. I hope you have practiced or just logged into a TCS portal and took the practice test so that you will understand how the UI of the test taking environment looks. Okay, so without wasting much time, let's start this webinar and here we'll start with the agenda for the day and we are going to discuss some of the basic things of NQT and TCS campus hiring and test pattern. I hope you are all comfortable with the test pattern with the syllabus in the sense how we are going to approach this TCS test pattern. So we are going to give some time management tips since this year they are going to keep section lock. It means that you cannot navigate to another section while taking the test. You have to complete one section and even if you complete the test before the time limit, you need to wait until the time of that particular section. So I'm going to give a tip on how you can effectively manage the time for this TCS NQT without much mathematical calculation and planning. Okay, and then we'll discuss few words about how the auto evaluation happens in the programming questions. Then finally we'll discuss some of the do's and don'ts. Also some points you need to remember to take TCS NQT test. And then I'll give some information about the next TCS NQT so that you can take the next NQT test and improve the score. So you have some base idea this time and you can improve your score. So they will consider the highest score among this. Okay, so the basic information about the TCS NQT and TCS campus hiring is, and this is conducted by TCS and it's actually a subsidiary of TCS. All the TCS companies, all the TCS group companies going to select the students only through this NQT test. So as a part of this, Tata Consultancy Service is going to use this NQT score for their recruitment process. So there are other companies in the Tata group and there are more companies will use this NQT score this year. So NQT is for 2021 and 2022 batch. Also the freshers with less than 2 years of experience, that is the students from 2019 can also take the test, but the TCS campus hiring is only for 2021. So if any students from the other batches, that is 2022 and previous year batches 19 and 20 are watching this video, you can take the NQT test but you cannot appear for the TCS campus hiring of this batch. Okay, so if you are from 2021 batch, make sure you have applied in both the links. First one is you have to apply in TCS NQT. I think the registration is closed, no need to discuss anything about those registration process. So 17th October was the last date and the national qualifier test is going to be on 24, 25 and 26. You will receive those details 2 days prior to your examination. Make sure you are checking your email properly and also you check updates, promotions and spam folder and keep in touch with your friends and check whether they are getting the mails from the TCS or not. Okay. So next part, the registration step. I hope you have done properly. You have registered. You have registered in National Qualified Test website by selecting subject test with programming test as an option, and using that registration number, you have registered in the TCS Next Step portal. So this is for the registration process. I hope you have done properly. And in case if there is any change, if you want to make any change, just go through the frequently asked questions sections in TCS ION website. They have clearly mentioned everything in that website. So if your question is not answered in that, you can send an email to TCS support and get clarified. So there are many questions which was answered clearly in the TCS website. Okay. So next, this registration link, I hope you have done. So I'll simply skip this page and we'll move on to the next major area. So I hope you are familiar with this test pattern and you have taken many mock tests uh, in this pattern. So usually in the test pattern or in any other website, you could see the verbal ability at the first, reasoning ability, then numerical ability. I just slightly reordered for the convenient. I will tell you what exactly I have done in the next slide. So in the reasoning ability, you have to answer 30 questions in 50 minutes. And in numerical ability, you need to answer 26 questions in 40 minutes. And verbal ability, you need to answer 24 in 30. Similarly, in programming, 10 questions in 15 minutes. And coding, you will be having two different questions. First question, you will be getting 15 minutes. And second question, you can take 30 minutes of time. So the major checkpoint in this TCS pattern is, say for example, in reasoning ability section, you have answered all the 30 questions in 30 minutes. Just for an example, let's take you have answered 30 questions in 30 minutes. You cannot go to next section. You need to spend entire 50 minutes in that particular section. Even you cannot submit and go to next section. So you have to plan your time accordingly. Say for example, some students may think that if I save some 20 or 15 minutes in reasoning ability, I can use it in quant section or I can use it in programming section. So that is not case with TCS this year. You need to use the time allotted for that particular section only for that particular section. You cannot take it to next section. Similarly, you cannot go back to previous question and answer. So once you click save and next, you have to go to next question and you cannot come back to previous questions. So you have to divide the time accordingly. So maybe in this case, let's take a reasoning ability example. Say for example, we are having 15 minutes and 30 questions. So if you divide if you divide the minutes into questions, you will be getting more than 1.5 seconds per question. But we cannot calculate 1.5 seconds while taking the test. The test will be in the countdown mode, even it is not in the count up. So it will be counting from 50, 49, maybe 49 point, the seconds will be running like this, 50, 49, 48, 47 like this. We cannot count and answer one by one question. So what you can do is, you can divide the time duration into 10 minutes of the section. Okay, so say for example, you need to answer this much question in 10 minutes. In the next 10 minutes, you have to answer this much question. So to remember that, I have reordered this reasoning, numeric and verbal ability. So in the next slide, let me display the time split up. So in the reasoning ability, I have divided the entire 50 minutes into 10, 10, 10. And in numerical, again, I have divided the 40 minutes into 10 minutes. So if you look at the number of questions you need to solve in 10 minutes is 6 questions. So it's a very simple. You need to answer 6 questions in 10 minutes in the reasoning ability section, 7 in numerical ability and 8 in verbal ability. So maybe you may ask a question, we are having only 26 questions, why you have planned for the 28 in the numerical ability? Just to remember and don't make complicate in this calculation, I have kept 6, 7, 8 and the order is reasoning ability, numeric ability and verbal ability. So 10 minutes you have to solve 6 questions. So at the end of 10 minutes, just look at the countdown. Maybe after solving some 6 questions, we cannot look at every 10 minutes. So say for example, you have started reasoning ability and you have completed 6 questions. Just look at the timer. See how much time you have spent for this 6 minutes, 6 questions. Consider you have completed the 6 questions in 8 minutes. So you can spend more time for the next set of 6 questions. In the other scenario, consider you have spent some 13 minutes for the 6 questions. In that case, you need to speed up in the next set of questions. So divide your entire time into 10 minutes each, and you can answer 6 questions in the 10 minutes in reasoning ability, 7 in numerical ability and verbal ability. In programming logic, I have not classified since it is only 10 questions with 50 minutes. You can easily track the timing. So the major problem will be in the reasoning ability and numerical ability. So 6 and 7 for reasoning and numerical ability. So remember this, and you can even take some mock test by this strategy. Then only you will be getting comfortable in the TCS test. Even TCS has given the mock test in their website. You can take that test also by applying this strategy. So the strategy is, after completing 6 questions, you need to see the time. After completing 7 questions, you need to see the time. You need to see the time in the numerical. Similarly, after completing 8, you need to see the time in the verbal ability section. So this is the strategy for simple time management. Don't do the calculations in decimals and other values, and I need to solve 1.51 questions in 1.5 minutes or 1.24 minutes. Do keep it simple so that you can concentrate on the test as well as solving the problem. Okay, so next, some important information about the coding section. So many students are from CS non-circuit branches prefer to use Python language. So there are some information about this Python language so that you need to be more careful. So as per the TCS information, you can use C, C++, Java, Python and Perl. So one information regarding the Python compiler is they have mentioned that this year they are going to give only Python 2.7 version, not the 3x version. So last year they have provided a 3x version, but this year they are going to provide only 2.7. So there are some differences in Python 2.7, Python 2 version is Python 3. So the major difference we may encounter at our regular campus recruitment as well as the TCS coding will be in division operator and print function. So guys, if you are practicing Python in 3, make sure you are understanding the major difference between Python 2.7 and Python 3. So practice some problem in the older version of the compiler. So if you search for any Python compiler, by default you will be getting the latest version. So make sure you are practicing in 2.7. So in a general, we suggest you to use either C, C++ or Java. So, but if you are comfortable with Python, go with Python. Don't confuse with these languages. But if you're comfortable with both Python and Java, go for Java. So keep the Python and Perl as a last option. So there are many students who used Python and Perl last year, and they have given the feedback that they were faced some compiler issue. So we didn't get any feedback from the students saying that we have faced issues in C, C++ and Java last year, but there are few students who gave the feedback on Python and Perl compiler. So make sure you are preparing according to it. So next, there are many questions among the students about the command line argument based questions. So guys, TCS has used command line argument type of programming questions in their recruitment in 2018 and prior to that, might be in 2017 and 18. But in 2019 and this year, they are not going to use command line argument type of input in their programming questions. So you cannot don't expect any command line argument based program in programming section. You will be getting input using standard input output. That is, you can use scanner, scanf, scene, and you can print using cout, printf, or system.out.println. So there is no command line argument based programming questions. So maybe if you are not aware of this command line arguments, the question will be something like this. The solution will be something like this. You have to write like this in the main function. So this is only for the C programming or C++ programming language. So it's something like this. You have to write something in between the main function. So this is how TCS was recruiting the students in 2018 and before that. But now it's not going to be command line arguments. If you are searching in the internet and you're getting some information related to this command line argument, don't get confused with this. It was the previous pattern. So next, maybe you can expect one question at the maximum in MCQ section, not in the programming section. So some of the questions like predict the output or change the statement and according to the expected output, something like this. So understand the command line argument and you can expect maximum of one question, not more than that. Out of 10 questions, we can expect one, not more than that, in MCQ section, not in the programming section. So practice your programming section with standard input output formats like scanf, cin, scanner classes. That is in C, C++, Java cases. Okay, so no need to worry about the command line argument based. So next, let's discuss some of the parameters that will affect in the programming question evaluation. So how this programming question auto evaluation happens is, it's basically based on the test cases. So if you see programming questions, you could see some of the sample test cases or it is a public test cases. These test cases are visible to us and you have to understand the exact format of the test cases. So how many lines are there in the input format and how many lines they are expecting in the output format. So this public or sample test case will give the clear idea on the exact input required and the exact output expected. There are the other cases like private or hidden test cases. So these test cases are not visible to the students and your program should pass both sample test case and hidden test cases. So what could be the difference? So I will give a simple example so that you will be easily understand. So write up, for example, you are getting a question to add two numbers. So in the sample test case, they would have given numbers like 4 plus 5 and the answer is 9. So this is the sample test case. But in the hidden test cases, they will handle different numbers. So you have to add 4055 plus 6075. The number digit will be high. So that will be the hidden test case. Similarly, it will be the some 7 or 8 digit number also. And in some other cases, there might be chances for some negative numbers, minus 3 plus minus 7, minus 3 plus some other positive number. So the biggest value in the negative side and another biggest value in the positive side. This type of value will be in the hidden test cases. On the sample test cases, they will give some of the basic information which you need to understand to write your input and output statement. So this is how the basics of programming evaluation. So it should exactly match, even if there is additional spaces or any punctuation or any extra marks, it will not be considered as a test case passed. So definitely your program should pass all the test cases, which includes sample and hidden test cases. If it is passing hidden test cases, definitely it will pass sample test cases. So if it is not passing all the test cases, you will not get the full score and this will reduce your mark in the this particular section. So there are many students who have given the feedback like only few test cases are passing if I type the code, or if I compile this program only 4 out of 7 test cases are passing. So remaining test cases are not passed. There are many reasons for this passing partial test cases. We have listed few of the test cases, few of the reasons for not passing the entire test cases. So first one is you have to check all the corner cases. Corner cases in the sense, so say for example, if the program wants to calculate some values, which is if the condition is above 100, it has to do some other process. If condition is less than 100, it has to do some different process. So your program should work properly for 99, 100 and 101. So this is called corner cases. So your program should be suitable for all the values that is mentioned in the limit, that is in the constraint. So in constraints they will mention, so this program should run from 1 to n or 1 to some numerical value. So your program should work for the entire value without anything. So next point is check all the paths. Say for example, if you are using switch case or nested if loops in your program, You might be missing or you might be doing some logical mistakes in any of these cases. Say for example, if you have written a switch with 5 cases and you have done 3 cases correctly, and in fourth case, maybe while copying the code from previous cases and to next cases, you would have made some mistakes. Say for example, double equal to, double plus, or some basic logical mistakes. So in that case, the program may not work for the fourth case. So case 1, case 2, case 3, these 3 paths will be working fine, and the fourth path may not be working. So you have to check all the paths if you are using switch or multiple if statement. Also, your program should be suitable for large input. That is, large input means it should cover the entire value which is given in the limit. Say for example, if the n value is from 1 to 20, your program should work from 1 to 20 properly. Okay, so if it is 20,000, it should work up to 20,000 properly. And the last point is, sometimes if your internet connection is slow and there may be chance for execution timed out. Also, in case if there is any infinite loop in particular scenario, it may lead to some compilation fail, and this will not pass the remaining test case. So for some values, your loop will be working properly, but in case of higher value or lower value, your loop may not work as expected. So if your program passes only partial test cases, make sure you are checking the corner cases and check all the paths, and it should be suitable for the input which is given in the range. Also make sure there is no infinite loops and it is taking proper time to compile. Maybe sometimes if internet connection is slow and it may take also time, so make sure you are. So we'll discuss about this internet connection and other in the next slide, but program evaluation happens in this way only. So next there are some do's and don'ts in the programming language. So I hope I have covered a few points in the previous slide itself. And no direct statement in programming question. It will be like a story. So read it carefully and understand the basic logic. So it's very simple. They don't give the statement directly. So write a program to arrange the number in ascending order. They don't give like this. So they will give a story and you need to understand this program comes under this particular logic. So don't worry if they have given a long passage or paragraph. If you are not able to understand the question in first attempt, read it once again and think in terms of programming. So definitely you have to read the question clearly and understand. In case if you are not able to understand the question by reading it, refer the sample input and sample output. So they will be giving the format for the sample input and some input for sample, some numerical value for the sample input as well as the suitable output. So from this input and output statement, you can understand the question in a better way. So after reading the sample input and output, if you read the questions, you will get the clear idea. So don't worry if there is a large passage or a paragraph in the programming question. So next, as I discussed in the previous slide, your program should pass all the test cases. So make sure it is passing all the test cases. You have enough time, that is 15 minutes and 30 minutes. So type it as quickly as possible, compile the program and make sure it is passing all the. Don't waste much time in typing the program and doing some navigation in the window. Also, don't change the language while taking the test. So many students are comfortable in multiple languages. So after seeing the program, they think that so this question can be solved easily in the Java program. So you have selected Java program and typed, you have typed some 4 or 5 lines. After that, your mind will change. So instead of continuing in Java, you may go to C or C++. So don't do that kind of activity. So if you're comfortable with multiple programming language, you can go with the best programming language which you know, or you can decide the language and stick to it till you compile the program. So there is no rules like you can change it to, but if you change the code which you have typed earlier in the previous language will not be available if you go to other language, and if you come back to, you have to type it again. So don't waste time like this. So next, this is the new one in this 2021 recruitment test. So last year TCS has conducted in a particular center and the student went there and took the test. But this year they have given multiple options. Either you can take it in the particular center or you can take it from your home. So this remote proctoring will look like this. Your computer will record your image randomly multiple times during the test. So your laptop or system should have proper webcam and it should be clear. So your face will be clearly visible. The lighting should be proper. So this instruction will be given, TCS will give this instruction uh, through your mail, or they will update in their portal. So the image part will be very strict this time. So while taking test, some of the images will be captured and this will be compared with the images which is taken during the registration process. So while starting the test, you have to give a base image. So the entire remaining image will be compared with that particular base image. So since this is going to be a remote proctoring test, guys, be careful. So don't try to cheat the system. Definitely it will be detected. So if you move your eyes out of your allowed area, or if you turn, or if any other persons enters into the particular room, or if there is any additional noise, that everything will be considered as a malpractice. So the system is going to be very strict and you need to be uh, careful in the sense, don't try to cheat anything. Follow the instruction which is given in the TCS website. So that will be more than enough. Don't afraid of this. Just follow the instruction which is given in the TCS practice test. Sorry, TCS information. We have also given some of the practice test for the students, and so if you follow those or programming coding questions, but you need to score marks in all the sections. So if you score more marks in NQT section, sorry, if you score more marks in other sections, you will not allowed to sit in the next round. So you have to score the enough cutoff in each and every section. So focus on all the sections, give enough time and prepare it proper. So the another point is no intra-sectional movement. That is, if you have started with verbal ability, you have to complete the verbal ability. And even you cannot select this section also. It will be displayed in your screen as per the order given in their website. So if it is verbal ability, you have to start with the verbal ability and you have to answer all the questions in verbal ability, and that will be, once you, it will be taken to the next section. And again, you cannot go back to previous section, even you cannot go back to previous question. So that I have mentioned as a third point. So you cannot move to previous question. So once you answered or not answered, you have to click on next and that will be taken to the next questions. So guys, this time there is no negative mark. So don't worry about wrong answer or negative mark. If you are not able to find the exact answer, try to eliminate the wrong option. Say for example, if you check the options, there might be chance for some one or two based on the questions. So use this technique and eliminate one or two options and then mark the remaining option. So don't simply mark A, B, C, D. The last point is, this year we are having the fixed timer for each section. So I have informed about this in the previous section itself. So fixed timing means you have to wait, you have to spend all the 50 minutes in the reasoning ability. You have to spend all the 40 minutes in the numeric ability. So even if you completed the test in 35 minutes, you have to wait for 5 minutes. So the total test is going to be 180 minutes. So make sure you have arranged proper backup for test taking process. Your internet connection should be stable. You should have proper power backup and you should have proper environment to take the test. And yes, if you are taking the test in center also, it will be remote proctoring. So the TCS will be giving a sample test before 1 or 2 days. You can use the test, the sample test with the remote proctoring. So you can use that test to understand whether your system supports for remote proctoring or not. If it is not support, they may give the option for you to change the location, but if it supports everything, you can take the test in your home with a proper setup. So definitely they will be giving some mock test for you to practice. So don't worry about those parts. Even if your system not supports, they will give the chance to switch to center. So all these informations are given in the TCS frequently asked questions. You can refer that for more information. So next, some of the other non-technical points which you need to remember is, first one, your internet connection should be stable. So many of you might be taking the test using mobile hotspot, and if you get any calls in the mobile, your internet connection may disconnect. So that will create the fluctuation, and that will lead to disqualification. So in case if there is any notification that Wi-Fi connected or broadband connected, so that will give the notification that will be considered as a malpractice. So make sure you are having the good internet connection. That is good means stable internet connection with the required speed mentioned in the TCS website. So next, you have to disable all the notifications. So we have the tendency to enable all the push notifications from the websites. So while taking the test, there may be chance for any websites that may send some push notification and you will be clicking on this. So disable all the notifications, including your YouTube recommendations, antivirus notification, other websites push notification. So if you go to browser settings, you could see disable all the notification. So explore on these notification settings and disable, and take some mock test and ask your friends to send some notification and check whether it gives the notifications or not. Many of us are using web WhatsApp. You may get the notification also in that. So there are some other startups might be running in the program without your knowledge that may send some notification. So make sure you are disabling all the notification. Next, and the third important point is, don't take screenshot and share it to your friends or social media. This will definitely going to be a serious issue. So answer the questions. If you are not able to solve, it's okay. You can take the next NQT to improve your scores. There is no issue in that. But if you take a screenshot and if you share it with your friends, there will be a register number flashing in your test taking page. So if you see the TCS sample page, there are some numbers displaying in the backup as a watermark. So that will be the register number. So in case if you take a screenshot or photo in a mobile, and if that photo circulates in the social media, definitely you will be disqualified, and sometimes it is going to be a serious issue. So guys, the don't take any screenshot, or don't try to do any malpractice, or don't try to record anything, and that will become the major issue in TCS NQT test. So next, it's going to be a countdown timer. So it starts from the maximum time, it is 50 minutes, and it will come to 0. So you have to plan the time schedule accordingly. So we are comfortable with the up timing. So only we have 10 minutes left or something like this. But if you are not comfortable with the countdown timer, use the tip which we have discussed in the some third or fourth slide, like dividing the entire entire duration into 10 minutes of each. You have to solve 6 questions in reasoning ability, 7 in numerical ability, and 8 in verbal ability for every 10 minutes. So after completing 6 questions, see the timer. If it is not 10 minutes, you can change your plan according to the timer, and you can decide how many questions you have to solve in the next 10 minutes. So those who have joined after some 10 to 15 minutes, we have discussed about the time management tips in the starting of this webinar. You can watch this webinar once again in this YouTube channel. This recorded session will be available immediately after this live session. So those who have joined after some 10 or 15 minutes, watch the webinar and watch the webinar in the recording session and understand how you can effectively manage time in the TCS section. So on the last point is, you have to get familiar with the TCS code editor. So if you open TCS sample questions, you could see an editor in the TCS. You have to select the language and type the code in that. So if you type the code in that, sometimes there might be some slight there is might be some improper movement in the cursor. So if you are typing a printf, opening bracket and closing bracket, and you are moving the cursor from last to previous character, it might not be visible. So practice or even type some type some program in the TCS code editor and get familiar. So if you are not comfortable with programming in online compiler and you have practiced the codes in code blocks or Eclipse or PyCharm, make sure you are practicing enough programs in the online editor. So in our placement season test, we have given the exact replication of the same editor. You can type the code, select the language, type the code and understand how it looks in the actual campus recruitment test. So get familiar with the TCS code editor. So this is the sample test and you need to understand the instructions given in this TCS sample test. So maybe I will go to this maybe, or you can take the screenshot of this page, or this link is available in the description also. So you can go to this link, click on the sample test and make sure you are clicking on subject NQT and wait 15 seconds in the programming section and then go to coding section. So once you enter into coding section, you will be getting the questions followed by editor. So you have to click on submit response. There are two buttons. One is submit and another one is submit response. Submit response will submit your code and check it with the hidden test case. Submit button will submit the entire test. Make sure you are reading the instruction carefully. So you have some enough time, there is more than 5 days. Spend some 30 minutes at least in reading the instruction given in this page. So this will help you to understand the TCS environment in a better way so that you can sit comfortable and read the instruction in the TCS NQT examination. So the step 1 is go to this page, read the instruction carefully, attempt all the questions. Even it's going to be a long duration, that is 180 minutes. Make sure you are taking the entire test and go to Subject NQT, complete the programming section, go to coding section, type the code and understand how editor behaves. So whether is there any shortcuts to copy paste is allowed or not, and make sure your cursors are moving properly. And if you are a Python lover, so practice some program in Python and check how it is working in the TCS environment. So this is the some of the basic things which you need to remember in the last days to crack the TCS NQT test. So there is some information about the validity and another attempts. So your NQT score is valid for 2 years from the date of test. Say for example, if you are taking the test on this October, your NQT score will be valid for next 2 years. That is up to 2020. You can apply different companies using this NQT score. So you can take the NQT in the next chance. So there is no limit on number of attempts. You can take the NQT in next attempt. You cannot take the NQT test immediately in this month itself. So they will be giving some schedule and you can take NQT in next attempt and you can improve your score. So TCS and other companies who are going to hire using NQT score will consider the maximum among these courses. The highest score from among your attempts will be, even if you take some 3 or 4 attempts, they will consider your maximum score. So guys, use this opportunity, and many companies are going to recruit based on this NQT. So this year they have started with TCS and it will be going among the TCS groups and it will be expanded further, and in the future if you take TCS NQT, and this score will be shared with many companies and you can apply for that companies using this NQT score. So it will be like an AMCAT score. So but this is also AMCAT score. You can apply for different companies using that score, but in NQT first option is TCS and then you can apply for the remaining questions. Okay, so with this information I hope you can get a clear idea on how the exam looks. So thank you for watching this webinar. We have covered all the major topics in our webinar series. All those videos are available in our placement season YouTube channel. If you search the recent videos, you could see verbal ability, numerical ability, reasoning ability, and programming question solving. And there are some videos about the registration process also, which is given in the description. So ignore those videos and watch only those technical content part. So thank you, friends. Thank you for your wonderful time. So there are a few questions related to TCS NQT in center. Yes, there will be remote proctoring everywhere. So make sure you are following the process properly. If you so guys, first thing, don't worry about all this remote proctoring area. TCS will give the sample test. They have given the sample test to understand the platform now. So practice the test, spend the entire 3 hours and take the complete test. Next, they will be giving the test with some remote proctoring settings. So you have to take the test and check your complete system requirements. If there is any mismatch, you can opt for center change and you can take the test. So utilize the remaining 3 days. You can plan one section per day, or you can focus more on the area which you want to improve. So thank you, friends. All the best. Practice more questions. Thank you. Bye.